Hello, 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 friends. Welcome to a new episode of Problematic FMC. This week, I have an interview with fellow bookstagrammer at Kristen's Reads. We get to chat about her transformation from a student who struggled focusing on books in high school to an avid lover of romance books. She shares some of her recent recommendations and the reasons she is so glad that she started her Bookstagram account. Then, I dive into some fall-themed new releases, from the cozy to the creepy. Without further ado, let's jump right into the interview. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name's Kristen. I am 25. I live in Texas. I'm a special ed teacher, and me and my husband are trying for kids, but right now we just have our fur baby named Cash. He's a black lab.
How did you get into reading?
So, growing up, I never liked to read. It was something that I really struggled with. Do you remember in high school, maybe whenever you have to read chapters for school?
Yes.
And my mom would have to sit down and like read them with me because I just couldn't do it. Like I just didn't retain anything. I don't know if it just wasn't interesting to me, but it just never stuck. So my mom would have to sit down with me, like 16-year-old me, my mom reading me the chapters in the book for school. Like that's just crazy to think about now. So then I went on vacation with my husband's family. It was his dad and his stepmom, so my stepmother-in-law, and she was reading Where the Crawdads Sing,
Oh,
and
I
I
love
kept
that one.
like, I know. So I kept like asking her, like, oh, well, is this your like, what do you read a lot? Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, no, she just picked it up. So I read the back and I thought it sounded really good. And then that was around the time, it was August of 2022. So it was kind of around the time that we started seeing the trailer for the movie and all that. And I remember thinking, I want to read that before I go see the movie. It looks really good. And I've never done that before. Like I said, I don't like to read at this point. So I decided, I was like, can I borrow that after you? So she gives it to me and I read it. Loved it. Went and saw the movie. Loved it. Cried like a baby in the
Oh, yeah.
movie. Cried like
Oh,
a
yeah.
baby in the book. Like my husband ended up loving the movie too. But anyways, so after that, I placed a rather large Amazon order for books, as one does. And then I guess the rest was history. So here we are now. That's like my main hobby, I guess.
That's so funny because I remember hating the books that we were assigned in high school too. And I remember when I found out that I could listen to them on audio, I felt like I was cheating, but that was a game changer for me because I was like you, I couldn't pay attention. But if someone was reading it to me, and like I think I found a bunch of them on YouTube for free and I just
Yes.
listened to them. And so that was how I had to do that. But now I have no problem sitting down and reading books for hours and hours. So
Right.
very
Same.
similar. Yeah. How would you define your reading tastes, and has that changed since 2022 when you kind of jumped in?
Yes. So I started with Where the Crawdads Sing, and then I liked that one. I liked how it was kind of like mystery thriller-ish with like a little romance, I guess. But I wasn't like stuck on the romance at that time. So then I was like all in with psychological thrillers. I was obsessed with Frida McFadden, still love Frida McFadden. I read all of her backlog, and then I was like, well, now what? So then I read like Verity and all of those popular books at that time. And then I guess it was maybe a year and a half-ish after I initially started reading in August of 2022. Was at Target in the book section and I saw Every Summer After by Carly Fortune. And I was like, ooh, the cover is so pretty. But I was like, but it's a romance book, and I never read just like a straight romance book. And the cover is like that beach scene, and I
Yes.
and I was obsessed with it. So I was like, I'm gonna give it a go. So read that, loved it, and then I just started. It was a downfall, I guess, after that. Like I just kept reading nothing but romance books. And then now I kind of use the thrillers as like my palate cleansers, so
Oh,
to
yeah.
say, to kind of break up my reading when I just need something a little different. So I guess it's kind of crazy, like things change.
Yeah, yeah. Hearing that you started with thrillers and stuff, I never would have guessed that. I mean, probably if I scrolled back on your page far enough. But when I think of your page, I associate with you with like the Chestnut Springs series and a
Yeah.
lot of those kind of American Southwest romance books that are so, so popular. So yeah, that's really
Yeah.
interesting to hear.
Yes. And I love recommending thrillers to other people because like you just said, you I mean, you look at my page and it's nothing but romance. So it's kind of funny to when people ask me and I'm like, "Yeah, of course."
So I've never read Frida McFadden. If I was to jump in, what book would you recommend I start with?
My favorite is Never Lie.
Never
Um,
Lie. Okay.
Never Lie. The Housemaid series, I really enjoyed the first one, but I think she should have kept it as instead of adding on to the series.
Oh.
Like the first one is really good, but the second two I didn't think that they were nearly as good as the first one. But Never Lie, that was my favorite one, and I recommend it to everybody
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
for sure.
And so you started reading. What led you to make the jump into starting your Bookstagram account?
Okay, so I don't have very many like bookish friends in real life. I have one friend who likes to read and we have very like similar taste and we give recommendations back and forth, but it's only one person and we read a lot of the same books. So we, you know what I mean? Like we don't give each other recommendations. We're both just like reading all the same things already. And I already had an Instagram account, like a personal Instagram account and a personal TikTok account. And I would follow all these big like book pages and I loved all their content and stuff. I loved in the comments people would, you know, interact with each other, but I had always noticed like they don't to be the nicest way possible, they only interact with other book accounts. And I can
Oh.
like say that I see that a lot. But I try like on mine now, I try to comment back to everybody. I interact with everybody that I can. Anyways, that's not the question. So I was just like, I want somewhere to dump my thoughts. My husband could care less about what I'm reading. Like he'll listen to me all day, but he's just, you know, he's not giving me any feedback. I was like, I was in bed one night. It was like 9 o'clock at night, and I'm like, this sounds fun. And I just on a whim decided that I'm gonna do it. And I never in like 1,000 years could have imagined like all the love and support and just like a warm welcoming everybody was like knowing no one and then like you go online now and you're like, oh yeah, I know them, but you don't really know them in
Right,
real life,
yeah.
but you feel like you know them. And I just think that it's so nice to like share something with people all around the world, just people that share similar interests with you. And that's why I made my bookstagram account was just somewhere to dump all my thoughts and feelings and all of that. Not that anyone I didn't think anyone would really care what I had to post, so that's what is so shocking about it. And I would recommend anybody to make that jump if they are interested or even considering it.
Oh my goodness, yes, I completely agree. There's nothing better than when you just finish a book and you're like, I have so many thoughts and I don't want to spoil it for someone who hasn't read it, but all of a sudden I have this community online of people who've probably read it and can gab about it with me. That is the best feeling.
Yes, and, like, Goodreads, like, I always used Goodreads, but it's not the same as, like, scrolling through Instagram or Bookstagram and posting it and then everybody commenting on it, like, you have it's all together there. I just feel like on Goodreads, you just, like, post a review and people like it. Like, it's just not
Yes.
the same. So, I love it. I didn't know how long I would stick with it, you know, like, it was something new. I didn't know if it was, like, a new toy, you know, you just whatever or like a new broom, I guess is that saying that it gets old, but still I'm on it every day. I could not even tell you the last time I got on my personal Instagram
Oh,
account.
funny. You kind of touched on this a little bit, but broadly, is there anything you wish you could change about the online bookish community?
So I did say just like interacting with everybody as a whole. Like sometimes I feel, and I'm not a big account, so to say, but like then was just like the big ones. That's all you saw was the big named accounts. I couldn't even tell you who they are anymore, but and they would interact with all the bookish accounts that would
Mhm.
comment and stuff. And I may get a like from them here and there when I would comment, but it just like wasn't the same. It's like they didn't know that I shared their same interest, I guess. So that's one thing I would change is just being inclusive to everybody just because somebody hasn't made that jump, them seeing your post and your confidence posting online may be all they need to make that jump for themselves.
I love
It's
that.
how
Yeah.
I see it. And then something else I wish that I told you I live in Texas,
Hmm.
uh, and I was not able to make it to Book Bonanza this last time, and it is the last big bookish event for them. I just wish there was more events worldwide. I have been seeing those bookish vacations and stuff like that. People like get together with their online friends and go on vacation together. Like, I think that's so fun. And I wish, like, I mean, I'm also doing the same thing as everybody else. I'm sure everybody's thinking somebody else has to plan it, but love to see more stuff like that online.
Just the idea of going somewhere and just like spending hours reading and then coming out and being like, what are you reading? Like alone time together sounds so wonderful and just a break
Yes.
from routine.
Exactly. And it's like you're with all these people who are the same, have the same interests as you. So
Yes.
like they would be interested in just like the alone togetherness. I just think that would be so fun. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure everybody else, like I said, is waiting for someone else to plan it. That's normally how it works.
So you mentioned a lot of the books that you've loved. What are some books that you've read and loved recently?
Two of them are new releases. I love just smutty romance. I'll be just completely honest with
Same,
you.
same, same.
So Liz Tom Ford,
Okay.
like Lauren Asher, all of like the big people. So I read Play Along here recently. I mean, Marriage of Convenience could not. Okay, every single time it slaps. What's the other one? Love Unwritten
Uh-huh.
with Lauren Asher, Single Dad, every single time.
I love that one too. Yeah, the yes.
And then I recently read an arc, and I'm just starting to dabble in arcs. So this was like really fun for me. It's called Catch and Keep by Erin Hahn.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it's so I told you I was a special ed teacher, and
Uh-huh.
one of the characters in there is she has autism. So I
Okay.
love the autism representation and all of them touching on her mannerisms and different things like that. It just like really resonated with me. And it releases October 15th, I believe, of this
Okay.
year. And I would recommend it to everybody. I posted it on my bookstagram, and I'm gonna later on, closer to the release date, I'm gonna post again about it. I already pre-ordered my copy. Loved it.
That's the best feeling. And at first I felt a little guilty when I started getting ARCs because I felt like I was stealing it, but then I was like, no, wait, I'm 100% going to go and buy this for myself now. It feels like I'm supporting the author doubly almost. I've loved ARCs and so thankful for every single one that
Yes. So I read primarily on my Kindle,
me
and
too.
I just got a Kindle like maybe last September, last October, something like that. So I've had it for just about a year now. Before that, I read nothing but paperbacks. I don't know if you have your camera on and you can see all of these
I
books.
do. There's so many books with the
All of
spines. It's
these, and then
beautiful.
down here, there's just like so much. But I read nothing but paperback books. So I was becoming a hoarder, literally. Um, and I was running out of room. And I kept telling my husband, I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to read on the Kindle. I can't read on my phone. I
Okay.
just can't. I actually have like a form of dyslexia. I mean, you can put this out there. It does not make me uncomfortable or anything. It's called Erland syndrome, and it's like a light defectancy with my eyesight. So, like, if I stare at my phone or like a computer for too long, it gives me a massive headache and my eyes just like blur. So I was like, maybe I don't know if a Kindle would be good for me because
Hmm.
I didn't know if it would. So I was like, it was Black Friday, so I guess November-ish.
Uh-huh.
um of last year, my husband Mason, he bought me a Kindle. Everybody needs a Kindle.
It
Like, I'll love
revolutionizes
it.
the reading life. Yeah.
Love it. Bring it everywhere I go. I have no problem reading on it. I think it's like the black screen. It's a different
Uh-huh.
screen you have on your phone. And at the time, I didn't know that. But, anyways, that's what I was trying to say with the ARC. Like, this is my first time to ever like buy the physical copy of an ARC because I loved it so much after reading it like on my Kindle.
Cool.
So that alone, I think, should tell people that they should give this book a try. And this is my first book by this author too. So I'm gonna have to go read her backlog too.
Oh, that's the best when you find
Yes.
someone new and then it's like a whole new world opens up.
Yes, and she's like a smaller Arthur, so I like that giving her the publicity that giving that to her because it's well worth it. Like this book was so good.
So we're about to wrap up, but do you have anything else that you want to add? And also, where can people follow you online?
Right now, I only have a bookstagram. I have not had the confidence boost yet to get on Book Talk, but maybe after this, maybe I'll get a book talk. Well, so you can find me on Bookstagram at Kristen's Reads. And then all of my other links are in my bio for like Goodreads and all of the other jazz.
So I will definitely link to that in the show notes so that way people can go and find you. But Kristen, this has been so much fun.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much to Kristen for taking the time to chat with me. You can find her on Instagram at Kristens_reads. That's at KRIS.TENS_READS. I'll have her handle in the show notes. Next up, let's jump into some fall-themed books coming out this September and October. As always, these previews will be completely spoiler-free. I have ordered the books from least scary to most scary based on the presence of dark themes. So it starts with the cozier books, goes into some romantasy, and then ends with genre horror. As always, from the first book to the last, please check Storygraph if there are any trigger warnings you would like to screen for. Let's start with a cozy fantasy book. Impractical Magic by Emily Grimoire is Gilmore Girls meets Charmed, and touts itself as the coziest small-town second-chance romance you will read this autumn. Scarlett Melrose hears from her estranged sisters that their family's inn has been cursed. She returns home to break the spell, and realizes that the handyman, Nate, is none other than her charming old flame. Early reviewers assure us that this brings us all the fall coziness, with pumpkin spice everything, crisp autumn air, and enchanting hometowns. This one releases August 10th. Again, that is Impractical Magic by Emily Grimoire. Next, a feel-good story, Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. This is the sequel to his 2020 bestseller, The House in the Cerulean Sea, about a caseworker for children in government-sanctioned orphanages, most of them placed there because of supernatural abilities that causes society to view them as dangerous. What follows is a story of found family, an island that is a character in itself, and philosophical questions about love and home. The upcoming sequel is 416 pages, releasing September 10th. This was Somewhere Beyond the Sea by T.J. Klune. Carly Bloom is releasing a new cozy romance, Hot Hex Boyfriend. Delia's family has labeled her as the descendant capable of restoring magic to the family coven, which would be cool if magic was real. Until one day when she accidentally breaks the hex that binds their magic, catching the attention of the sexy but irritable next-door neighbor, Max Halifax, which is a great name. Early reviewers loved the family focus of this story, Halloween Town vibes and Southern charm. They also mention it's very low on the spice scale, so it's great for readers looking for a clean romance. This one is 368 pages, publishing September 3rd. Again, that's Hot Hex Boyfriend, that's H-E-X, Hot Hex Boyfriend, by Carly Bloom. Moving into some YA romantasy, but with a little more romance, Sabaa Tahir kicks off a new duology with Air. Ace finds herself imprisoned after one hot-headed mistake. Saoirse puts her talent for tracking to use, hunting for a renowned killer. And Quill, the crown prince, must decide if he should step into the power that he fears. These three storylines interweave in a multi-POV tale, and a few Easter eggs from Tahir's previous books. Early readers found that they enjoyed the fast pace of each point of view, and found the character arcs very satisfying. This book is 512 pages, releasing October 1st. That is Air by Sabaa Tahir. Another upcoming YA romantasy is Bloodguard, the start of Ceci Robson's Old Earth series. Letha of Grey arrives into the Kingdom of Arrow looking to fight in the gladiator arena. If he wins, the gold prize will save his dying sister. But the kingdom enslaves him and forces him to fight for years, until he meets Maeve, an elven royal who offers him a chance at freedom. But freedom might not be enough for him anymore. Now, he wants revenge. Early readers have loved finding a male main character instead of the heroine we all expect in this genre, and report being intrigued from the very first line. This one is 512 pages, releasing October 22nd. That was Bloodguard by Ceci Robson. Readers looking for a side of dragons with their witches should check out Sophie Jordan's A Fire in the Sky. Though a member of the royal family, Tamsin fits nowhere in the glittery palace she was raised in. When the beast of the borderlands, a brutal warrior, descends on her home, her family tricks him by marrying Tamsin to him hidden under a veil. But their marriage leads to unexpected passions and the uncovering of secrets Tamsin has tried to keep hidden. Early reviewers enjoyed the spice and the execution of the fated destiny and arranged marriage tropes. However, they warn that readers who frequent this genre may catch on to some of the twists. This one is 336 pages, publishing September 24th. That was A Fire in the Sky by Sophie Jordan. For fans of young adult Gothic retellings, Aaron A. Craig's The 13th Child reimagines the Grimm brothers' fairy tale, Godfather Death. As the youngest of 13, Hazel has been promised to the gods. Her godfather is the dreaded End himself, and he dictates that Hazel become a great healer, granting her a gift of instantly knowing what cure a patient needs, or if they cannot be cured, to end their suffering herself. When tasked with caring for the king in a ruthless court, Hazel is faced with the greatest dilemma yet. Early reviewers praised this story's pacing, gripping twists, and emotional impact. This one is 512 pages, releasing September 24th. That was The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig. Next up, we have A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. This Rivals to Lovers locked room mystery follows an expedition of nobles whose leader is murdered in her quarters, leaving only the 5 expedition mates as suspects. Their adventures force them to face dragons, evil forests, and bloodthirsty beasts. Early reviewers have praised this book's folklore, tense atmosphere, and enchanting but accessible world. This one is 384 pages, releasing September 17th. That was A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Saft. Moving into horror, Sarah Pinsker's new novella, Haunt Sweet Home, follows Mara's nights as a reality show production assistant, where she is tasked with making the homes featured appear haunted. However, a series of unnerving incidents and some creepy coworkers take a turn for the supernatural. Early readers appreciated the short length and the relatability of Mara's directionless 20-something years. Many home renovation show fans also mention finding the behind-the-scenes sections enlightening. This one is only 176 pages, releasing September 3rd. American Ghoul from Michelle McGill Vargas shakes up the vampire lore with the story of Lavinia, a recently freed slave who joins Simone, a white woman, and the two head north. But Simone's undead status becomes a problem as Lavinia gets to know her reckless nature and unsavory diet. Lavinia begins to compromise on her morals, causing her to question if her partnership with Simone is another form of enslavement. Early readers found this book well-written and fast-paced, with a very atmospheric historical setting. This one is 304 pages, releasing September 3rd. That was American Ghoul by Michelle McGill Vargas. M.L. Rio returns with a new novella, Graveyard Shift. 5 unrelated people always cross paths on their way to and from their various night shift jobs. One night, they find a hole where there wasn't one before. Following the gravedigger leads them onto the case of mysterious happenings around their town. Fans of Rio's If We Were Villains will recognize her gothic dark academia style in this new release. This one is only 144 pages and releases September 24th. That was Graveyard Shift by M.L. Rio. And for this week's Would You Rather question, would you rather have to write a 500-page report about every book you read, or never be able to talk about the books you've read recently? I think I would pick not being able to talk about books, which is a little strange since I created this entire podcast just so that I can monologue about the books I've read. But I really struggle to just write reviews, and I'm not even bringing everything that I'm reading to this show. For example, I only bring the first book from each series type of thing. I think having to write a report for every single book would absolutely suck the fun out of reading. Well, that's all for this week's episode. What do you think? Head on over to my Instagram at problematicfmc and let me know which you would rather. And definitely check out at Kristen's Reads. She makes the cutest posts and recommends lots of fun romance books. Until next time, keep flipping those pages. Bye!